The first thing anyone serious about First World War battlefield survival learns is this: mud wasn't just an inconvenience, it was an enemy of its own. Entire offensives dragged to a halt not because of artillery or machine guns, but because rifles turned into dead weight under layers of slime. If you've handled period weapons before, you already know how temperamental early 20th century mechanisms could be even under normal conditions. Now push them into the waterlogged trenches of Flanders, the Somme, or Passchendaele, and they became tools that required constant vigilance simply to remain functional. That's exactly what makes this topic so important. Understanding how soldiers kept their weapons alive in that chaos isn't just interesting history, it's practical knowledge about mechanical discipline under extreme environmental stress. If you're here on this channel, I'm assuming you want more than surface-level anecdotes. You want the real procedures, the real methods, the real battlefield logic. So let's go straight into how men of 1914 to 1918 kept their rifles, pistols, machine guns, and bayonets working in environments where one wrong move buried your weapon in mud thick enough to drown a horse. Understanding how mud attacked the weapons was the first step to survival. Soldiers had to respect mud as a force that destroyed rifles from the inside out. Mud wasn't just dirt mixed with water, it was a heavy, sticky compound filled with tiny grit particles. That grit worked its way into chambers, bolt lugs, firing pins, and magazine springs. Anyone who has taken apart a Lee Enfield or Mauser bolt knows how quickly a single grain of grit can interrupt the smooth cycling of the action. In the First World War, multiply that by thousands. Veterans described mud as alive, meaning it moved, flowed, and crept into places even when the rifle never hit the ground. Condensation plus fine silt could build layers inside the barrel overnight. This is why soldiers never relied on the fact that their rifle looked clean. It forced men to develop almost obsessive habits of checking the bolt magazine cutoff and sight bases constantly. This mindset, maintenance as survival, is exactly what modern reenactors and outdoor survivalists can apply today when dealing with weapons in swampy or coastal environments. One of the smartest methods used by World War I infantry was controlling when and how the rifle ever touched the ground. Every soldier carried his weapon muzzle down or wrapped when moving through deep trenches. The goal was not elegance, it was to prevent mud from entering the muzzle or bolt face. You know, many soldiers would tie cloth socks or even handkerchiefs over their rifle tips, and officers rarely complained because, honestly, the logic was simple. A covered muzzle prevented catastrophic barrel obstructions. On the battlefield today, the same reasoning still applies. If you're operating in muddy terrain, you should treat your weapon as the last thing that should ever touch the earth. Wrap it, sling it higher, keep that muzzle protected. Historical soldiers improvised constantly, and, well, that improvisation often made the difference between a functioning rifle and a useless club. A British or Canadian infantryman in Flanders could be sleepless, starving, soaked, and freezing, yet he'd still break open his Lee Enfield before lying down. He didn't do this for discipline points, he did it because clogged weapons got men killed in morning stand-to. The cleaning wasn't ceremonial, it was fast, mechanical, and focused on the parts that truly mattered: the bolt, the chamber, the magazine, and the firing pin channel. So, if you're using this knowledge today, especially in survival training or historical shooting events, you should adopt the same priority system. You know, focus on the cycling surfaces first, make sure to clean the channel where the striker rides, and of course, clear the chamber thoroughly. Now, don't chase the rifle's entire surface unless time allows. You see, World War I soldiers became masters of functional cleaning rather than museum-perfect cleaning. Despite all their efforts, weapons still fell into mud, and when that happened in combat, soldiers didn't sit down and conduct a formal inspection. Instead, they performed quick-response clearing steps, simple, brutal, and effective. A soldier would first knock the rifle against his boot, heel, or trench wall to break dried mud on the exterior. Then, the bolt came out and was wiped on a tunic, sleeve, or sandbag. The chamber was swabbed with whatever cloth was available. Only then would he test the action. These techniques work in modern muddy conditions as well. When you don't have full cleaning gear, you should prioritize motion. Get the bolt moving freely. If the bolt moves, you can fire. If it doesn't, you're just carrying a stick. World War I proved that clearing a weapon in 10 seconds could save your life far more often than a perfect cleaning done later. If rifles were sensitive, machine guns were, well, divas. The Vickers and Maxim guns were water-cooled, and their jackets could actually draw mud inside through even minor leaks. Gunners placed weapons on wooden platforms, sandbags, or metal sheets because mud contacting the feed block or lock mechanism would jam the gun immediately. Crews carried flannelette cloths for continuous wiping. They drained jackets regularly and checked condensation. Survivalists can really learn from this kind of meticulous teamwork. Complex weapons need dedicated operators. In wet environments, you assign roles. One keeps the weapon stable, one keeps it clean, one manages ammunition. A team that treats the weapon as the center of gravity will always run it more efficiently under environmental stress. The real secret wasn't a trick or a tool, it was a mentality. Weapons were lifelines, and every soldier treated them with near ritual seriousness. Whether you're hiking, reenacting, shooting, or training, that mindset is your best protection. Mud will always try to work its way inside. Your job is to stay one step ahead of it.